ever. Section 3 of the Book of Enoch is contained in chapters 72 through 82, which is also known as the Astronomical Book, because these 11 chapters contain a summary, teaching, and explanation on how all of the luminaries work together and their different functions on the sun, moon, and stars. The Book of Enoch also talks about and explains how the sun, moon, and stars are actually moving, which also agrees with the account in Genesis chapter 1 and even Joshua chapter 10 verse 13, Joshua's long day, the sun standing still. And it even talks about things such as the firmament and even the depth and the pillars of the earth and what's there. We see that such an account is very reminiscent of that of a flat earth, and such descriptions is only possible on the flat earth model and not the lies and deception of NASA, because that's what NASA means in Hebrew. It means deception. It's time to wake up out of these deceptions indeed. The section of this book also contains a 364-day calendar, also known as the Enoch calendar, that's described in 1 year, with the 30-30-31 count calendrical system for months 1, 2, and 3, with months beginning at the spring and so on, all the way up until around the 12th month. Such a calendar system also matches that of the calendars that's described and talked about in the Qumran fragments 4Q 208 all the way up until 4Q 211, and it's also described in the Book of Jubilees, primarily Jubilees chapter 6. And you can see on this calendar here, you get 30-30 and then 31, with the 31st day occurring on each of the solstices, as you can see here, corresponding with each of the 4 seasons of the year. Of course, this is contrary to the Babylonian influenced lunar calendar that's only 354 days in a year, with an additional 13th month that has to be added extra per the Metonic 19-year cycle. But this calendar here actually agrees with what Genesis 1:14 says, where it talks about the signs and the luminaries being used for signs and seasons also. Of course, every passage in every book that they try to give us must be preceded with caution, but we'll quote a little bit from the Book of Jubilees. We'll be quoting Jubilees chapter 6 verses 32 through 38, which also agree with this calendar, because this has to do with the messenger speaking to Moses and commanding Moses of what to do for the children of Yasharal after the Exodus. Verse 32, "And command thou the children of Yasharal, that they observe the years according to this reckoning, 364 days, and these will constitute a complete year, and they will not disturb its time from its days and from its feasts. For everything will fall out in them according to their testimony, and they will not leave out any day nor disturb any feast. But if they do neglect and do not observe them according to his commandment, then they will disturb all their seasons, and the years will be dislodged from this. And they will disturb the seasons, and the years will be dislodged, and they will neglect their ordinances." Verse 34, "And all the children of Yasharal will forget, and will not find the path of the years, and will forget the new months and seasons and Shabbats, and they will go wrong as to all the orders of the years. For I know, and from henceforth will I declare it unto thee, and it is not of my own devising, for the book written before me, and on the heavenly tablets the division of days is ordained, lest they forget the feast of the covenant, and walk according to the feast of the Gentiles, after their error, and after their ignorance. For there will be all those who will assuredly make observances on the moon, how it disturbs the seasons, and comes in from year to year 10 days too soon." Verse 37, "For this reason the years will come upon them, when they will disturb the order, and make an abominable day the day of testimony, and an unclean day a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the Kadash with the unclean, and the unclean day with the Kadash, or made apart, for they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death thy children will disturb them, so that they will not make the year 364 days only, and for this reason they will go wrong as to the new months and seasons and Sabbaths and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood with all kinds of flesh. And it's very interesting and suspicious indeed how this calendar has been hidden throughout history. Why is that the case? Could that be another reason that they hid this book? Interesting. But we also see that throughout this book specifically, that Enoch is guided by the ark messenger Uriel throughout this, and it also talks about how the messengers are placed in charge by Yahuwah Yahusha to control the different weather patterns, weather movement, luminary movements, rain, snow, sleet, hail, etc., which also explains why the fallen ones are trying to manipulate the weather and the seasons and to disturb them via HARP, CERN, and other governmental organizations via weather modification, cloud seeding, and also the creation of things such as artificial sunlight, LED, and also fake snow, because they think that they're their own mighty ones. Chapters 72 and 73 specifically go into detail talking about the movement of the sun, and also talks about the 6 different portals wherein the sun travels throughout the entire year. Chapter 74 talks about the movement of the moon. Chapter 75 talks about the 12 winds. 76 talks about the portals for the wind. All the rest covers meteorology, geography, and also astronomical things and the luminaries and how they work in the calendrical systems. But now we'll be talking about and focusing more on the seasons and the messengers that are appointed per the seasons in the book of Enoch, chapter 82, verses 12 through 20 specifically. Verse 12, "And these heads over thousands are intercalated between leader and leader, each behind a station, but their leaders make the division. And these are the names of the leaders who divide the 4 parts of the year which are ordered: Malkyaal, Alamalak, Malakyal, and Naral." Verse 14, "And the names of those who lead them: Ad-Naral, and Yasusaal, and Alumal. These 3 follow the leaders of the orders, and there is one that follows the 3 leaders of the orders which follow those leaders of the stations that divide the 4 parts of the year. In the beginning of the year, Malakyal rises first and rules, who is named Tamaini and Shamash, and all the days of his dominion whilst he bears rule are 91 days. Verse 16, "And these are the signs of the days which are to be seen on earth in the days of his dominion: sweat and heat and calms. And all the trees bear fruit, and leaves are produced on all the trees, and the harvest of wheat, and the rose flowers, and all the flowers which come forth in the field, but the trees of the winter season become withered. And these are the names of the leaders which are under them: Barakyal, Zalapsal, and another who is added ahead of 1,000, called Heluyasap, and the days of the dominion of this are at an end." Verse 18, "The next leader after him is Halamalak, whom one names the shining sun, and all the days of his light are 91 days. And these are the signs of days on the earth: glowing heat and dryness, and the trees ripen their fruits and produce all their fruits ripe and ready, and the sheep pair and become pregnant, and all the fruits of the earth are gathered in, and all that is in the fields and the winepress, these take place in the days of his dominion. These are the names and the orders and the leaders of those heads of thousands: Gedaliah, Kaal, and Hayal. And the name of the head of 1,000 which is added to them, Asapal, and the days of his dominion are at an end." As Enoch explains to his son Mathushalach and to the generations following him, he's talking about how Yahuwah Yahusha appoints different messengers to be in charge of the different seasons, while also talking about the calendar systems, calendrical systems, geography, and the luminaries and how they work and how they move and who is exactly